I believe the Muddler Minnow was devised in either the late 40s or early 50s. It's an imitation of the sculpin, which is a bait fish. And since that time, it has taken fish, or all different species of fish, and in particular dressings, it's been used to imitate grasshoppers, and which is a dry fly, which is a little different from the streamer that we're tying, and dry flies, say grasshoppers, and stonefly nymphs, or excuse me, adult stoneflies. So it's a how would you say it? A good dressing for different types of fish.
That's how I would say it.
Yeah, I guess.
A good dressing for different types of fish. But yeah, I must say now, I've had success with the Muddler Minnow. Believe it or not, I have had success with this fly. But in trout, I've never used it for salmon, but I've had enjoyed it. A friend of mine on the East Coast, Rick Templeman, uses that a lot for trout fishing, especially in muddy waters or over by beaver dams and stuff like that. It's very sort of jerk it underneath the water, and you can have all kinds of success with that.
I know one variation that a friend of mine in St. John's uses, Frank Walsh. He puts out of his yellow or orange crystal flash in the underwing.
Oh, I see.
And I found that very effective too.
I guess it goes back to what we've been saying all along, that you've got an established fly pattern, but everybody tries their own little variations on it, and different success under different conditions.
Sure.
Different times of the year. Well, without any further ado, let's get into it. Here's the list of materials that you'll need to tie the Muddler Minnow. The hook is a down-eyed streamer. The thread is black. The tail is brown mottled turkey. The body is flat gold tinsel. The wing is brown squirrel tail with brown mottled turkey over, and the head is clipped natural deer hair. And over the past while, we've been using some deer hair, but it's been dyed. But this is actually
all natural.
All natural.
Au naturel.
Au naturel deer hair. Okay, so that's the list of what you'll need. Didn't say it, but the hook, I guess, is still your number 2 down-eye streamer?
Yes, 9672.
9672.
The reason why I like this one so much is that it's a sturdy hook. Like the 79580, which is 4X line. This is 3X line. The 79580, which a lot of the boys use, it's sort of flimsy for the length, So I prefer the 9672.
Your weapon of choice.
Yeah. Now around approximately a quarter of the hook shank back, I will attach my thread. And I'll let our viewers know at the proper time why I left all that shank there. Okay, I'll run down the back with my glue. And the reason why I do that is that I want my thread to adhere to the hook shank.
Okay.
So I'll just spin it on twist. And work down.
Any particular, sometimes you've done this, but you haven't coated the shank before you. Any particular reason for this one? Why it's that much more?
I usually do if I have, if I run my thread down through. Like past couple of shows, I had Mylar tubing, and you just didn't need anything there, right? Okay, come back around to the midpoint between the barb and the point. And our first material to go in will be peacock wing, and the particular portion of the fly that we'll be doing is the tail. Now, usually most dressings call for just one slip of feather for the tail, but I like to use two slips. And both segments should be even or equal in width. And I've seen that I have cut one section off a little wider than the other. So what I will do is I will take the point of the scissors and just split it.
Right along the outline of the first one.
Yeah.
So you want basically a copy.
Yeah, that's right. There we go. It's perfect. Now, those segments should be approximately equal to the diameter or the width of the gap of the hook. And I can see that it is perfect.
This all goes back to the importance of proportion.
Exactly. Okay, my hook's not quite secure in there now. I want to lay this so that the two segments are laying right on top of the hook shank.
And why have you chosen to use two segments instead of the one?
It's just a little bit more bulkier, right? And it stays together better. if I were to really get picky, what I should do is, once I have them tied in, okay, we tied this in with 3 turns and let our bobbin hang. We can see that's pretty well on top. You can reposition it after. If I were to really get picky, what I should do is get a rubber base cement and coat the fibers over before I even put them in, and let it dry. Give it 2 or 3 coats, and when you lay it down there like that right there, it'll keep its shape. Now, our viewers might see now, I'll just lay this other one up, that the tail on this particular fly is starting to split, and you don't have the outline. Again, this is a bait fish imitation, so you should use it as such and tie it as such, right? Now, what we'll do is we'll wrap up to the front portion again, and what we're doing is we're going to bury all those materials. I could have clipped off right here, but again, you've got a chance of pullouts, number 1. And this also makes a nice smooth underbody.
Adds bulk here.
Yeah, adds a little bulk, yeah.
Where the completed minnow that we're using here is starting to split, is that something that you would then look at replacing this fly because it is?
No. It will take fish, but still, it's better to have a good solid outline, you know. Okay, just before I get up to where I started, what I will do now, after 2 more turns, is tie in some flat gold tinsel. Now, this particular pattern doesn't have a rib, but it could do well with a rib, you know, especially for salmon, getting a nice glitter, right? Okay, just before I tie it in again, I'll just give myself a little extra room. Now, I'll tie that in with 4 turns. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'll lacquer the underbody. This is important. And the reason being is that you want the tinsel to stay in place when you wrap it, number 1, and it adds durability to the fly. So we'll wrap down 1, 2. Nice close turns. You shouldn't see any thread between the wraps. Now, I've got a little bit too much cement. It's obscuring my view when I'm wrapping that, right?
You want the wrap, though, to just right on the edge?
Edge to edge, yeah. Well, what I do is I lay it over the previous wrap or half wrap it, and then I just slide it down. I'm working fairly quickly, but you can pretty well see what I'm doing. 1 turn right around the base there.
Work your way back up.
Yep.
Are we going for a taper here, or we want it to be nice and even right up?
Well, all flies should have a taper, but again, what happened, there's a very slight taper there, but what happens is that where I tied in here, it's the quill is sort of flimsy, and as you the butts of the fibers up here are a little thicker now. There's not much of a taper. If I really wanted to get picky, I could put an underbody in there, right? Okay, just 1 moment. Now I'm just going to undo those 2 wraps I tied off with, and show you a little technique. Now, I tied in with 4 turns. So what I'll do is release 3 of those turns and tie the 2 ends off. That reduces bulk. And that, you can use that technique in all your tinsel body flies, like the silver gray, silver doctor, whatever, right? Okay, you clip out your 2 pieces of material there. And what we're going to do now is we're going to lay a bed for our wing. Looking good so far. The next material to be tied in is, I'm using dyed dark brown squirrel. A lot of my squirrel tails are dyed. But natural deer here is good, or excuse me, squirrel. And it doesn't have to be very, very thick. Just lay a nice little bunch in.
That brown almost has a tint of red or...
Yeah. Almost purplish in a sense, right? Now, you can even it up, or you can leave it like this right here. Like when you take it off your tail, just hold it out at the right angles to the stem and or to the bone of the tail. That's good enough. I don't have to use my hair sacker on that. And that should extend back, say, to about half the tail. Okay. Again, you take it off. I got my head space measured and cut it on a slight taper and glue the butts real good. And we use the rule of thirds technique. Well, actually, I'll go just 2 this time because, again, we got a small bunch. And there's no need to go 3.
Half and half.
Yeah. Okay, I'll wrap down once. Nice firm pressure. Now, we're using a little heavier thread now, so that's a 3/0. So you can put the pressure on. That's it, right there. And make sure it's laying nice and flat. Now, if you were to use a dry version of this fly, brown calftail would be nice.
This is a wet version?
Show off. Now you see I'm using 2 sides of a quill. And what happens there is that one side goes this way and one side goes the other. So what we do when we bring them dull side facing.
Okay, you get all your color.
You get all your on both sides on the outside. And that's you get the right flow to the wing. Actually, it's not a wing at all. It's described as such. What it is a fin.
Is what you're trying to create.
Yeah, it's imitating a fin. So I noticed on the fly that I supplied that my wing material or fin is a little bit too long. So what I'm going to do is just come back to here, just to the start of the tail. Lay that on top. Now, a lot of people, what they do is, I will show you another technique. You are going to lay it right up on top. Is just bring it to the side, just a little bit. Oh, here we go. Oh, first aid with a new right hand.
Doesn't want to cooperate.
Okay, one side, lay it right there. And the other side, lay it right there. So it's sort of enveloping the shank, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's have a look on the other side, see how the things are looking. Make sure you pull down right in place. 2 wraps over and then 3 or 4 to secure. I'm not quite pleased with that, John. It's just laying on my side. It's laying down on my side, and I would prefer it to be right on top. Yeah.
I guess it's important to critique it as you go, because once you've done it and moved down to another stage of the fly, you don't want to have to go back and say, geez, I shouldn't have let that go.
So we got the tie in with about approximately 4 turns of thread. You can clip this out now, the old butt ends, and make sure you lay a nice bit of glue on the stubs there. And try to find that hole.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll wrap our head and finish it off before we go to the next step. And we just pull everything over a little bit. Mm-hmm. Good. Okay, now at the first of the fly, I told you the reason when we got to it that I would leave this bare shank here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to spin on some deer hair now, and it's much easier to do with a bare shank. Now I've left a fairly good headspace here, a little bit more than I usually do. We'll see what happens now. Everything's
all said and done?
Yes, sir.
Is there any need to coat that now with head cement?
No.
So right.
What would happen is that your deer hair wouldn't spin properly if you coated that with head cement, right? Okay. Now that again, we coated this with cement, but again, that was well cemented when we tied it in also. Now, I'm going to lay in a collar of deer hair, and what should be done is you have to stack this stuff so you get a nice even collar all around. Sometimes you have to lay even 2 bunches in, John.
Get enough.
Yeah, enough to fill in the black here in the back here, you know. So we're not going quite to the back where I had to tie off the wing was. Just lay it around and just let it work down around the hook shank. 2 wraps over and just pull it and let it spin. That worked out pretty good.
This you want totally even on all.
I like to. A lot of people just like just a little bit on the bottom as a fin, but I like to get that action on the fly as it works when the hair is wrapped all around. Now,
it's a very aerodynamic looking fly when it's finished.
Yes. Okay. Now we got our 1 bunch spun on. Our collar. We never listed it in the dressing as a collar, but that's what it is. Now, as you can see, we had our good tips laying back, right? But in our other bunches, what we'll do is we'll clip the tips out because it's going to be clipped anyway. Let that spin. Just as you would be doing an orange hackle bug, everybody's favorite. And push it back. Now here's another point too. If you're going to fish it dry, what I would do there now is I'd push it back even further. Sometimes I'll even use like a pin, like with the refill taken out, and just push it back and work it back, and then lay on another bunch. But this fly here, I'm dressing as a wet fly, or let's say a streamer. I want it to sink, so I shouldn't put on too much. I'll whip off the head here now. Make sure I fill in the return on that eye. Now the shape of this head is important. It should be small in front and tapering up so it blends in with the wing and all the other materials.
This is just your own personal judgment now as to how you want the
That's correct.
The depth of it.
So I'll work back this way to shaping the head. Well, I must say, I find it fairly difficult getting a proper shaped head on a muddler. It's just something I don't tie many of them as a rule. Like usually I'll tie 1 or 2 a year, but they last me the whole season. And it's something you got to really work on. You know, get a nice even flow back. And again, you got to achieve this by without cutting off the nice good ends that you have there for a collar, right? So you got to work forward then.
A lot of people, I had people tell me when I was first about to branch into the world of salmon fishing after being a fly fisherman for trout for several years and that you know, once you get into salmon fishing, you'll never go back to trout fishing. Do you enjoy, I still enjoy trouting immensely, and you know, I enjoy salmon fishing as well, but I still enjoy going out on ponds and fishing. Do you take much time out of the season to go trouting?
I don't, and it's a shame because, you know, I love fishing. I love fly fishing, and it doesn't matter. Well, I mean, salmon fishing is my favorite, but I do love trout fishing.
It's a different atmosphere, I find, too, when you're trouting. You can a lot of times you'll be a little busier when you're trouting in terms of that you get more hits, and you know, you're probably going to catch more in a run of the day, perhaps, in terms of actually playing fish than you might salmon fishing. And I find salmon fishing sometimes be a little bit on the tense side. So
it's total concentration.
Yeah, or trout fishing, you sort of, you know, if you're not paying attention for a little bit or whatever, it's not the end of the world.
No. Again, I like trouting so much that I went down to New York State to fish the Beaverkill River back in '81. I got my first brown trout down there.
Yeah.
And it was on the river, which is the birthplace of the dry fly in North America. So it was a real thrill for me because I'd always wanted to get down there, you know. There we go. A few more little trims here and there, and there we are.
All c'est bon. Done. Alrighty. Well, there we have it, the Muddler Minnow for this week.